Ladies and gentlemen, ladies, welcome to the B. Tatum Show. Hey, I got everybody in. Let me get the order right because I normally ABL. All right, ABL where he normally is at on that color people time. All right, ABL. No, but hey, I just thank you guys for coming in, man. I really appreciate you guys. A lot of young men that I see on the camera, even ABL, even though he had gray hair, he's still young. That I appreciate and respect, and I want to hear from you guys on these topics. You know, there's a lot of things that come up in the news cycle, and I want to hear, and I'm sure everybody in the audience want to hear from you guys as well on this stuff. I mean, I don't know how many of you guys have seen the Michael Todd Easter show. ABL, did you see Michael Todd's Easter show?
I'm not quite sure. I've seen a few clips from him, but I'm not sure if I saw the one you're talking about.
CJ, did you see that Michael Todd?
I did. I saw it on TikTok. It was something, to say the least.
Louis V, did you see that?
I did. Shout out to Marcus Rogers. He went off on that whole situation. So that's how I saw it.
Good. So now at least 3 out of the 4 have seen it. So I want to talk about it real quick because as a Christian, I really find it very disheartening when I see churches that are like Michael Todd's church. They bring you in, they reel you in on gummy bear Christianity, and then they flip the script on you and they go woke and they go liberal and they do all this old crazy stuff that's not consistent with the Bible, and it's not consistent with helping people get to the point of salvation or helping people grow in their walk with God. So if you guys can chime in on it, man. I was very disappointed when I saw Michael Todd do that. I wasn't shocked, especially after he spit on that one guy out that day. I don't know if y'all seen that, man. He was, how Jesus went and took a little bit of saliva in the mud and rubbed it in the guy's eyes, and and now he could see. Well, Michael Todd tried to reenact that. He spit a loogie in his hand and rubbed it together and rubbed it on his brother-in-law's face, or somebody that was acting as that role. And this is nasty, bro. Spit dripped down the man's face. He had to pick it off his lip. And just doing way too much to convey the gospel. But anyway, what do you guys think about the Michael Todd situation?
Anyone want to start?
I'll start real quick. I ain't gonna lie, like I didn't see that right there, but I did see going around that there's this trend basically with and I saw some of your videos, Brandon, where these pastors are having a hard time really choosing whether they're going to condemn this new LGBTQ IA ABC 5, how many letters it has, but they're having a hard time basically, I really haven't heard any real pastors, like except for the ones that we've seen recently that you've shown, that have come out and said there's only 2 genders, right? They have a hard time. Like, this dude really got up on stage in front of his church and said, well, I wish God would have made it easier to understand type of vibe. And as soon as he said that, I'm like, oh yeah, nah, he folded. He folded to this whole, that whole church just seems to be bowing down to what it is, the LGBTQ agenda, which is, at the end of the day, that's pretty much what I've got from it. I kind of tuned out on him. And then I saw the whole, the whole church situation. I think his church had a whole, party for Easter. It looked like, I'm like, this looked like the BET Awards.
Yeah. So what you say, CJ?
Yeah, no, it looked like a Beyonce concert up there. And what's crazy about it is, so I grew up in a pretty traditional church. Grew up in the deep South in Georgia. My parents went to a Church of Christ kind of church in a small town in South Carolina. Like, when I went to church, people were speaking in tongues. They definitely weren't doing any Beyonce reenactments on stage. So that was certainly a little different. And the thing about Pastor Todd's interesting. Like, my first introduction to him was when he was doing stuff with Kanye West, like during the Sunday services and stuff. And, frankly, when I look at pastors like that, it's the same thing I've always said about conservatism. I think it's important for us to be an evangelist for what we believe and meet people where they are. And I do think there are a lot of Christians who aren't at the place where they're going to church every single Sunday. You got to kind of meet them where they are. You got to adjust, but that doesn't mean that you change the word and the content of the word. And I think that that's like where you're starting to see is like they're trying so hard to like be relevant and be cool that they're actually sacrificing the lessons that are actually in the Bible. Like if you want to experiment with delivery, that's totally fine. But I think once you start like being blasphemous and just absolutely doing things in an affront to what the Bible actually says, that's a way different than changing the way that you deliver the word. You're not even abiding by the word at that point, which is pretty bad.
Yeah, that brings me to my next point, because ABL, I know you probably don't really pay attention to Michael Todd and them. But
I see him on Twitter and Instagram and stuff. I see clips of his. I have my opinion about him for sure.
Well, I want to hear your opinion real quick before I transition to something else. But what's your opinion about Michael Todd and just what you get from his expression?
Now, Mike Todd kind of falls into a category of what I call woke church incorporated. That's a whole big thing that's all over the country. And it's all over the world, really. Like, we all know what church is supposed to be about. I saw one church in England. I forget the name of the church or the denomination or whatever, but it was a church, and you have a transgender priest. It's like, what? A trans priest? Talking about something, yeah, I came out as a trans priest. It's like, whatever happened to, the church that I went to as a kid? You got the deacons, like 85 years old, Willie Earl, Uncle Esther, all these people, just like the old school. Whatever happened to that? Like, I feel like a lot of the churches, not all churches, but a lot of the new age churches, mega churches, they're kind of just going woke, and it's no more than a fashion show. It's no more than just something to do. It's the same thing as a club. People go to the club night before, have Freaknik in the club, and go to church and do the same thing. You got on the same outfit, the same tattoos, the same face of makeup, the same hair weave, hair hat that you had in the club, in the church. You got black and mild, weed, smoke, alcohol, all of that still on you, still going to the church. It's like at a certain point, the church should not be of the world. Amen.
Right.
Amen.
That's
On that.
That's what the Bible say. That's what the Bible say. So, but I want to jump to this subject, man, because it's in the same vein, right? With this LGBTQ movement and stuff going on. It's just crazy to me what our world is turning into, man. You ain't even got to be a Christian to see that they doing way too much with this stuff. But MrBeast, his right-hand man, what's his name? Chris Tyson, turned into a girl, admitted earlier this month that he was taking hormones, came out as a trans person at Nickelodeon Awards ceremony. I mean, you got to think, MrBeast, Jimmy is his first name. MrBeast has one of the biggest YouTube channels in the world. He has 145 million subscribers. They get about 100 million views per video. And his right-hand man, which is they kind of like started it together, is literally trans now. I want y'all to speak to, like, what do you think is going on in our country, bro? Is it like, are people just having more access to be themselves? Is there an agenda? Is there a spirit on this? Like, what's happening to America, man?
Yeah. There's such an agenda. Earlier yesterday, I did a story about how Legos rolled out this new ad campaign walking children through the alphabet of the LGBTQIA plus community. And the letters that they were talking about were intersex. They were telling children that sexuality and gender is a spectrum. One of the letters in, it was for non-binary. Like, this is an absolute agenda. And like you said, you don't have to be a Christian to think this stuff is weird or wrong. You don't have to be a conservative to think this stuff is weird or wrong. The idea that young kids should be exposed to sexual ideas and all of those things is a radical one. And it's so interesting that we're the ones that are put on defense when we call this stuff out, when it's actually ridiculous. Like, I'm 20 years old, and I really do feel bad for this because it's not even a Gen Z thing. Older Gen Z, I don't think that we missed it by a few years, thank God, right? But this younger generation of kids and Gen Z, like, they aren't spared. and they're gonna have to deal with all of this stuff that we're seeing from Disney Plus, where you have non-binary characters and things like the Proud Family. I grew up watching the Proud Family. It was a normal show when I watched it, but now for some odd reason they can't find a way to make entertainment, to make toys even, or even to make YouTube videos without somehow pushing this gender ideology that is just absolutely rooted in just weirdness. This stuff is weird, and people should call it for what it is. It's just not right. It's not normal.
Yeah, man. If I'm not mistaken, I think Chris had a whole wife and kid, and then just so happens to out of nowhere just come out as a trans. I mean, looking at it, I used to see a lot of his videos. And if you look at who he was before, you know what I'm saying? Like, he was calling them out, right? The whole situation. So I just think it's such a like crazy change, that a crazy transformation that only, I don't even know. You have to have some type of spirit or something guiding you for you to feel some type of way one day, and then in the next 2-3 years, you're married, got a kid, you know, doing your thing, and then now you just so all of a sudden a woman. How? Hey, like how does that even happen? I think we're in America, and you're right, CJ. Like, it doesn't take somebody into politics and nothing like that. Like, just to see it and be thrown off, like, yo, hold on, like that's not supposed to happen. That's weird. So I think in America right now, this is definitely Sodom and Gomorrah. You know what I'm saying? Babylon. I think there's a lot of things happening, moving through. I think the rest of the world is looking at us. That's why you see places like Uganda talking about, yo, we not with this agenda. We not with none of that. One radicalization goes again like that. That also will cause the rest of the world to be like, all right, we're not with that. We're going to go even more radical against this agenda. So I think the whole Chris situation is just, in my opinion, just, he's drinking that tea. He's drinking whatever it is that they're feeding. He's drinking it. He's eating it, and all of a sudden now he's just a whole girl now. Like, I feel sorry for MrBeast only because that's a weird situation to be in. Like, you're the biggest creator in the world, and then out of nowhere, like, the content isn't the story no more. Now it's Chris. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody's eating this up. Left wing media, right wing media. Everybody's just like, yo, like, it's not about the content that you're making anymore. Now it's about your man's turning into a whole girl. So prayers to MrBeast, man. I hope that he gets through this, because this is wild.
Yeah, it was a leaked document that I saw, and I don't know the authenticity of it, but it was a leaked document that showed that MrBeast had made mention that, look, you know, I may not agree with this, but we got to do it for business purposes, because people have been canceled for much less. So if you come out and say, man, what we can kick him off the show because he's a distraction to the company, are they going to get bashed? Are they going to get demonetized? Are they going to get kicked off the, you know, they're going to be deemed as like anti, you know, trans or something crazy? I don't know, ABL, what your thoughts are?
The whole thing with MrBeast and a lot of these specifically male to female transgenders is they're perverts. It's a porn addiction, because what happened was there was a tweet that came out allegedly where he was talking about he enjoys a certain type of I guess you would say quote unquote entertainment where it's like anime, but the girls look like children.
Oh,
so
my God.
You could put 2 and 2 together. And when I saw that, I'm like, I'm not surprised, because that's typically what goes on. Because think about it like this. Okay, you have these biological men who are like 50 years old, and all of a sudden they want to become a girl now. They're a whole truck driver, a mechanic, all of that. Okay, big beard, looking crazy, complete male. If you saw him in Buc-ee's or Exxon or something like that, you'd be like, okay, that's a man. There'd be no denying it. It's like, are you here to work on the HVAC upstairs or what's going on? they become quote unquote women because they got that perversion. They want to go into the girls' restroom and not be kicked out. They want to be in the girls' locker room and not be kicked out. And then they got crazy porn addictions that they want to be able to act out in public and not be shamed for it. I think that's why this guy did this, which is why before he was all against the whole trans LGBT thing. Then he realized, hey, all I got to do is do that, and then I could just live out my porn fantasy. All right, sign me up.
That's interesting, man. I never thought about it being like a porn addiction thing,
Okay.
But when you think about it, it's definitely some type of perversion of the mind, because, you know, a person can think about something without actually applying it to real life, right? So if a person may think, man, I feel like a girl on the inside, I mean, I think that's a different feeling than like, I'm going to live as a woman. I'm going to take hormones and do things to my body and put a wig on and like try to live as a woman. I'm not sure if these people are having a mental crisis or like Dylan Mulvaney, where it's like it's expedient to do this because Dylan is a dude that's gay, right? And so now that you run out of your excitement of being gay, you still messing with dudes anyway. Now you can just turn into a girl and be gay, right? Or whatever. The same, you get the same experience. But this time you could do a transition and monetize that and become a multi-millionaire. Like you think the deals that they doing with Nike, because I know deals that they do with channels like mine. I know how much money they pay a channel like mine to promote something like that. Or if I had some affiliate, this person got like 12 million subscribers. It's like almost like 6 times what I would do. And so this person has to be making millions of dollars on these deals, plus whatever future endeavors are awaiting a Dylan Mulvaney. Speaking to the president, I mean, everybody in the world probably Googled at some point who's Dylan Mulvaney with the Nike thing, with the Bud Light thing, with the whole White House thing. I mean, this person is literally making getting the bag. That's pretty much what I think it is.
Yeah.
You're right. It's a whole brand new thing. It's about the whole influencer culture. Like if you want to be an influencer, you want to make the biggest bag, just go be trans. Just like Dylan Mulvaney had already been on TV before this. He was on The Price is Right as himself. 5 o'clock shadow, just a regular gay dude. Right now, a guy like that, you would see working at Starbucks and wouldn't think twice. But he's able to get on TikTok, make a big name for himself, calling himself a girl, and all of a sudden, this obscure random gay dude that does a little extra work in Hollywood becomes this multi-millionaire megastar. It's very simple. And a bunch of other guys doing the exact same thing and getting the same results.
Yeah. You guys are hitting a lot of good points. Like I did a story on today, like the Daily Mail came out with a report. This guy's making $1 million a month just from all of these brand deals, from the Kate Spade deal, from the Nike deal, from the Bud Light deal, $1 million a month. And I think that, Brandon, you kind of hit on it. Is this mental illness? Yes, it literally is a part of the DSM, like the catalog of mental illnesses. Gender dysphoria was long considered to be a mental illness. And now we've gotten to this point where apparently you're not supposed to point that out, even though it used to be universally accepted within the scientific community, within the medical community, that this was a mental illness. And so, yeah, if you wanted to think that you were a girl or anything like that, it was acknowledged by healthcare professionals, by mental health care professionals, that you were not right in the head. But we seem to have forgotten about that. And ABL, to your point about this becoming a trend, it's interesting. I went to college with this kid named Grant Sykes. He had been gay all of college until he decided that he wanted to be in a sorority. And so, but the thing about Alabama is that if you want to join a sorority, you have to actually be a biological female. It's a part of the bylaws of the chapters. It's a part of all the rules and regulations of the community. And so a week before sorority recruitment started, he all of a sudden was a girl so that he could rush and do all of that and partake in the process and whatnot. And what was interesting is he goes through it. He gets cut, obviously, because these sororities have rules. They're not transphobic. They're not bigoted. They just have rules, and sororities are for girls. And then he makes it this big thing about how Alabama Greek life hates him because he's transgender or whatever. And then when Dylan Mulvaney blows up with his day 1 of being a girl, day 3 of being a girl, he starts doing the same thing. Like, this is a kid who realized that he couldn't get fame any other way. He realized that he couldn't make money any other way. So now he just wants to cling this perpetual victimhood. And I kind of get it. You know, I kind of really do feel bad for these people, because it's not easy to be a white man in America. And maybe they found a little bit of a cheat code here that, you know, no one feels bad for you if you're a white man, but if you're a white man in a dress, that changes the math a little bit. And so honestly, hey, they're playing chestnut checkers. Maybe we all need to put on a dress. I don't know how much they're paying a black man in a dress. Billy Porter doesn't seem to be doing as good as Dylan Mulvaney, but I don't know. We'll see.
That is hilarious, man. I think it's very interesting because, you know, I just don't know. You don't know what to believe. You know, it's kind of like these people come out and they say, well, I was born this way. And you know, obviously I don't believe that, but I do see that some people have the propensity to be feminine at very young ages. You know, you see little kids twisting and you're like, well, nobody taught you how to twist like that. May have been influenced by mama or somebody, but it seems like some of these people kind of come out kind of weird. However, you don't know who's telling the truth, right? Because somebody will say, I was born this way, and they know they got molested when they was a kid, or they know that they had a fetish for something and they're just living out their sexual fantasies or something of that nature. and so you don't know. And it's just almost the same thing when you talk to black people sometimes, not all, but when you talk to some black people and they swear to God that they've been discriminated against every day they wake up, and you're like, bro, are you serious? Or are you just doing this for attention and building this victim mentality?
But you know what it is, though. Like, what's happening now is that there's indoctrination happening. You go to K through 12 school, public, sometimes private, even the Catholic school, sometimes Christian charter. They'll brainwash kids from a young age. They got drag queen story time going on, and you got babies there. So from the time you're an infant, before you can talk, walk, understand what's going on, you're being inundated, flooded with all the LGBTQ elemental P nonsense. So of course, when you get to be 12 years old and you're scrolling TikTok, you're going to be looking at the content you're already familiar with. It'd be a bunch of LGBT things. So yeah, somebody that is a child is more likely to go that direction if they've been fed that all throughout their life. It's just like growing up in the household where you speak English. I mean, are you going to speak Portuguese in the English speaking household? No, you're not. You're going to speak English. It's just what it is. That's why they want to get the kids before they can talk, walk, and all of that, talking about the transgender. How does a 5-year-old know if they're transgender? They don't know what they want to do from day to day. They got a toy that they get. They wanted it all year. They get it on Christmas morning. It breaks, and they put it down, never see it again. So how is that child going to know they're transgender? They don't. But if you can brainwash them and convince them of that, then they'll believe it. And whatever they learn at their early age will stay with them their whole life.
And ABL, you made a point that I get angry about sometimes, because why is the left so much better at using biblical principles than conservatives are? Because the Bible says to train up a child in the way in which they should go, so that when they're old, they won't depart from it. But yet for some reason, us conservatives, we don't want to have those conversations with our children when they're young, right? But you see right now in elementary schools, we're not dealing with just college indoctrination anymore. Like you said, it's happening in high schools. It's happening in elementary schools. These drag queen story hours are happening in elementary schools. And so if you don't talk to your child about what's right and what's wrong, and about the fact that there are only two genders, they're going to be talked about it in a school that I guarantee you probably doesn't share your values, your convictions, or your beliefs. And that's the biggest thing here, is that, you know, I oftentimes, when I would always talk about this issue in the context of college, like, you know, you shouldn't send your kid off to college as a blank slate, because, you know, why do so many young people go to college and are indoctrinated? I saw that YouTube comment pop up here. It's because you never have a conversation with your kid about America, about values, about right or wrong, about what conservatism actually is, not what their left-wing professor says that it is, right? And so, like, yeah, if you have a kid sitting in a lecture hall for the first time, they're being told all these things by someone with a PhD behind their name, so you have this false sense of authority that you assign to them. You think that the only viewpoint that they're expressing has to be the truth, because it's the only one you've ever heard about these particular issues. So if they say America's racist, well, they have a PhD behind their name, so it must be true. I think the same is to be said about elementary school teachers, about middle school teachers, and not all of them, obviously, but the ones that we do have to worry about. If you're not having these conversations at home with your kid, you're giving your children to the state as a blank slate, and that is dangerous, like super dangerous. And I think that's something we got to be a lot more vigilant about.
You know, the problem is, though, a lot of parents, average parent does not even really understand what's going on. They don't know about politics. The average person, if you ask them, hey, who's Speaker of the House? What's that? They don't know these things. Like, we know about it because this is what we do all the time, but the average person does not know. So all they do is send little Giant to school and hope it gets good grades. They might check their report card, maybe, but that's all they're going to do. They don't even know about the drag queen story time and whatnot until their child is 18 years old, or really probably 12 years old, and comes home wearing a dress, and they can't figure out what's going on, and they want to love their child. They don't want to, quote unquote, hate their child. So they just let it happen. They don't even understand what's going on. So I think we got to educate not only the children properly, but the parents too, because they don't even know what's happening. How can an ignorant person educate a child properly in this crazy world where they're being flooded with all kind of information all the time on their phones, and they're being flooded with information from more advanced people that run social media companies, is really big brain guys and girls. They are much more advanced than the parents. So we got to do a good job of educating the parents and the children.
Yeah, man, I grew up in a Hispanic household, so my mom, she ain't speak no English, so she ain't really, you ask her who the Speaker of the House is, she gonna be like, ¿Qué pasó? So it's more like, you know, you have especially I would say a lot of minorities who, I guess here in New York or in the Bronx where I'm from, it just, you don't even, like, parents don't even know what's really going on. You know what I'm saying? Like, they just sending their kids off to school. They don't know what these teachers are up to. Like, I had a former teacher in Cali, California. I think it was Los Angeles, if I'm not mistaken. She was telling me how, you know, teachers had the right to not tell the parents that kids are in the school identifying as something else. You understand what I'm saying? And then teachers will call home asking for, you know, Rhonda, and is really, you know, a man. Like, the mom is like, who's Rhonda? You know what I'm saying? The kid was identifying as a girl, but is a boy. So, you know, parents, you know, they're being surprised. But I think I think this whole, you know, this whole situation is really like TikTok algorithms. I'm not trying to say that it's all algorithms, but I think TikTok is like home for a lot of this. I get on there a lot, and any panels like we're doing right now, they have a bunch of people, and they're literally convincing people that gender affirming care for kids under the age of 18 is okay, right? And you got all these people supporting the Wayne Wade's Zaya Wade, right? Zion. They're like supporting the Wayne Wade Gabrielle Union, and they're actually making cases for this. So I think there's homes for these different things that are like expanding, and people are in these panels advocating day and night of how kids, you know what I'm saying, that emotional, what is it called? The emotional, they use this emotional blackmail where they're like, yo, your kid is going to end up killing himself because you won't give him the care that he needs. And like, people are actually believing this, and parents, like you said, ABL, that aren't educated, they're listening to people saying this like, oh man, if I don't give my kid that gender care or affirmation that he needs, my kid won't make it. So I do think that is a lot of social media, a lot of school indoctrination, and they're getting people prepared for the next 10, 20 years, man. This is going to be the United States. That's why you see so much, like I said, so much pushback from other places, because they're like, the United States, I mean, look at Canada. There's like a law now that was passed that you can't within a certain amount of feet, you can't protest a drag
LGBT.
show or any, yeah, exactly. So that, I mean, Canada, then next thing you know is the United States, and next thing you know is the rest of the world. So that's why you see people like, yo, we not signing up for this one, not this one, but
Yeah, I agree, man. This person on the super chat, CLH, said for many men who transition is that they lust over the female body to the point where they want that body themselves, and they become obsessed. I never thought of that, but that could be like a real thing. Like, maybe it is an obsession, like where, and I almost think like weird dudes, you know how they got these people that are incels and stuff, like where they hate women because the reason they hate women is because they want the finest woman on the thing, and they trash, right? They ain't got no charisma. They playing video games all day, ain't got no life. But then they want the woman way up here to like them, and when they don't, they feel like trash, and so they hate women. So, but I wonder, is some men so sexually obsessed with females or the female body or something weird, so they want to be a woman themselves, or somebody's just so insecure as a man that they want to experience what it's like to be a female, given the fact that females in society, in some cases, they get a lot of love and support, and you know, people are flattered by them, and the feminization is a thing that some of these weirdos want to obtain. I think it's very interesting. I really wish that we had some people that have really studied this stuff that give us a real answer, right? Because you're using confirmation bias. Like, the people in the industry are like not willing to look at the stats and give you an objective view. They want the stats and put them together to prove the point that creates more value for Big Pharma, more spending, more control. I mean, they're literally brainwashing our kids, and the parents, in my opinion, are the problem. I see dumb parents every day. I wake up and I go somewhere, and they kid running all out in the street, and they don't even want to say nothing to them. I'm like, if you don't do something, I'm gonna whoop your kid in a minute. If you don't do something. And I'm not saying spankings is the only way to do it. Obviously, if you have consistent, you know, punishment there, I think that'll work depending on whatever you do. But it's like these parents are just, somebody said your kid's gonna kill himself. You would think that you'll say, get out of here, man. Go sit down somewhere. That boy, he know better than that. You know, I know my son better than you do. Yeah. But anyway, I really do think this agenda is really scary, man, because I think, CJ, you grew up in a time different than me. When I was going to school, I never heard of LGBT. I never heard of trans. there was no such thing as non-binary.
Yeah.
It was gay people, but they wasn't even that popular. It was like, hey, that dude gay, ain't nobody will mess with that dude.
Yeah.
But now it's like, it's crazy, man.
Yeah, like honestly, even for me, like I didn't know what non-binary was when I was in high school. That wasn't a thing that people were. Those kids were just weird, and we called them weird. And then they got tired of being weird, so they stopped being whatever they thought they were. Like that's the thing, is that it's scary to me how fast this has happened, because it makes me wonder what the next 2 years have for us, right? What do the next 5 years have for us? Because I remember like elementary school, middle school, there were girls who thought they liked girls for a little bit because they were bored, and then months later they were fine. And it's just like, that's the thing that's really upsetting to me, is like these kids are impressionable. Like there are people that are gay, there are people that are lesbian or whatever. That's a fact of life. But at the same time, though, it's like I've seen so many kids like that I grew up with who were convinced that they were a certain persuasion or had a certain sexual orientation, only to not become that thing just a few months later. So it just has to deal with the impressionability of youth. Our frontal cortex isn't fully formed until we're 25 years old. And you're going to allow for young children to mutilate their genitals. You're going to allow for them to, embrace a lifestyle that has irreversible consequences. It's absolutely insane. And it's child abuse, and it's predatory. And I think that until we have laws that line up with what we believe about these things, then I think that it's actually kind of a waste of time to talk about it so often. It's like Tennessee, people want to hate on Tennessee and all of these things. Tennessee, what happened in Tennessee should happen in every single red state in America. Like why is that not happening in Alabama? Why is that not happening in Texas? Why are these all-age drag shows still a thing in red states, at least? Like I live in California now. It's going to happen here.
Oh my God.
Right. But
sorry to hear that, bro. We'll be praying for you, man.
Thank you. I need them. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm in New York. We got drag shows. I think there's one coming up. If I'm not, sometimes people send it to me. They're like, "Yo, look what's going on over there in New York." I'm like, "Yeah, man, we are so far gone, bro. It's not even funny."
Yeah,
it's scary, man.
So I'm chilling. Like we don't do that kind of stuff around here. And I'm hearing about Californians coming to Tennessee and going back. It was like, "Hey, well, job well done. We got the right laws that deter you from coming here. Stay over there. Don't come here and pollute this state with your nonsense."
It's scary how quickly this is happening. I think, CJ, you hit on a point. Like, I could have sworn like 2 years ago it wasn't even this crazy.
Yeah.
Like I said, MrBeast's right-hand man turned gay. Dylan Mulvaney is blown up and going and interviewing with the president of the United States of America, and been a girl for like 20 days or something. And you're just like, pandemic, bro. Really.
People were bored at their house, and we're trying to figure out a different way to kind of get attention and become popular. So now, okay, I'm going to just be a girl.
Yeah, it's weird, man. It's very weird. It's like, especially for the children. Like, I got kids, man. My boy don't know what's going on. My oldest son, 12, he still don't know what's going on. I'm at a yell at him, boy, can you go in there and brush your teeth like I asked you to do? Make your bed. Your room is a mess. You got towels all over the floor in the bathroom. What are you in here doing? And you think that I think that he can transition? You know what I'm saying? What do he know about life?
Yeah.
But you can't clean your room like I asked you to do it, because he a kid. His mind is everywhere. He want to play video games. He outside being an army man. He want to swim, and the pool is 40 degrees. And it's like, but you expect me to think that my son has the wisdom to know the lasting consequences. Because what they do to these kids is that when you little, like Zaya and them, they can dress you up and make you look cute. But you don't understand, like, when you become an adult, when your shoulders are this big and you wear a size 14 shoe and you 6'8", you're not going to be cute anymore, right? You know what I'm saying? You're not going to be passable. You're going to be a big old dude with your feet hanging off the heels, dragging on the ground like this.
Yeah.
It's not going to.
Nobody wants to see Ray Lewis in a dress.
Nobody wants to see Ray Lewis or his feet in a high heels. Then the thing is that because they haven't gotten to puberty, they haven't gotten to sexual relationships and dating. So they cute little kids and they just, I'm a girl now. But when you get bigger, when your friends are at the party and they all sit at the bar and you at the bar like this, and the dudes are hitting on them, but they don't talk to you, and now you're feeling some type of way. when your girls are all having kids and they get married, and you got to tell every man you date, hey, I still got a jangalang. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't tell the kids that, and then they grow up and that's when they start killing themselves, because they can never get to that point. It's almost like drugs. You know, you get the high and you keep chasing that high. They keep chasing the high of becoming that gender, and it never happens, man. And they go off a cliff.
Yeah. That's the thing about Jazz Jennings' story. Like, she was one of the first people that, you know, this happened to. And it's crazy because we thought, oh, this is one anomaly here. Like, this is never going to be mainstream. So people never really condemned it. I remember growing up and seeing her show on like TLC. Like, there was no widespread condemnation. Maybe some evangelical people were probably calling it out back then, but it certainly wasn't everyone. And it definitely wasn't a priority conservative movement at the time. But I saw her grow up and she's like, I can't believe boys won't date me. Well, maybe those boys are straight. You know, what a revelation. You know, maybe they don't like boys. But like, that's the thing, is like, the people, it's not just the people that actually transition. It's not just the people that are, you know, transgender or whatever. It's the people that feed that delusion who are just as responsible, right? The people that validate them and say, hey, people are just going to accept you. Guys are going to want to date you. No straight man is going to want to date you just because you decided to start wearing a dress, got some extensions or whatever else. It's not going to be the case. And so you set these kids up for emotional rejection, for validation they will never get from anyone else who actually is sane and normal. And then, like you said, you think they're going to kill themselves because you won't let them wear a dress. They're definitely probably going to consider it when they don't feel the love that you promised them that they were going to get if they did all the things that you said that they should.
Boom.
Bro, drop the mic. You ain't got a mic over there, but you need to drop it.
What do y'all think? What do y'all think when they like I said, when I get on TikTok and I go there because I really, a lot of people tell me don't go to TikTok, but I go there just to see what these people are saying, just so I won't be in an echo chamber. Let me see what these people are saying. And you get on there and you hear this term trans babies. And you hear like, oh, trans, you got to save the trans babies, save the trans kids. What do y'all think? Like, when I hear that term, that there's a such thing as a trans baby or a trans kid, how is that even possible? Like, how is it possible that mothers are literally, and really all I see is mothers. Like, I saw one mother go viral for labeling her, I think it was her daughter, her son, that it was a girl. I knew she had a whole interview. Like, I knew my son was a girl from the moment that he was like 4 years old. And I'm like, yo, how is that even legal? Like, how can somebody watch that and not bug out and just, but you look at the comments, and I think when I always look at the comments, see what people are saying, they're like supporting this stuff. And I'm like, that's when I start losing hope. Cause I'm like, God, y'all are really out here supporting this. Talk about, you better go, mama bear comes through. I'm like, yo, a trans baby, a trans child, you think that's a real thing? Like, you hear Justin Pearson talk about mother, father, God, bless these trans kids and all these different things. I'm like, yo, bro, what are you talking about over here? Like, mother, father, God, what? Like, weird.
But you know what's going on. Ultimately, I think it's two different things. Like I said from the beginning, first is the perversion. A lot of these people want these children to be accessible for their own purposes, for their own nasty stuff. So you could say, oh, they're transgender. And then once you get into calling a child or a baby, whatever, transgender, you're talking about being homosexual. So you see where we're going. Like I always say, it's like, okay, you got LGBTQ, elemental X, Y, and Z. What are they going to add at the end? What's going to be the final letter that they add on the end of that whole acronym? We know
all y'all.
That they're going to add
all y'all.
They're going to add that P at the end of LGBTQ.
Yes.
P. That's what they're going to do. That's the whole purpose. That's where we're headed. That's why we got drag queen story time. I saw one of these so-called drag queens dancing on a little girl. See, now we're doing too much. They touching on the kids. That's where we headed. This is the whole thing with the Dalai Lama, all of that. It's just doing it out in the open. And that's how they're going to usher it in. But there's also the element of people wanting attention for themselves. A lot of these mothers, like, I'm not trying to pick on the women, but a lot of these mothers that are uneducated and don't understand what's going on, know they like attention. And they know if they go on TikTok talking about my child is a trans, they're going to get, like my man Lou said, they're going to get an interview. They're going to get that attention. And then they're going to get the affirmation from these accounts on TikTok that could be totally fake from China or whatever. It don't really matter. They still go in there. They get 1,000 likes. Getting the like is like getting a shot of heroin to these people. They love it. They can't get enough of it, and they gotta have it in order to be able to keep on going. If you do a TikTok every day and you're getting a certain amount of likes for your baby being transgender, you get it one day, do the same story, the same post, and you don't get any likes. Oh, you sick. You sick for the day. You've not gotten your fix. So people understand that, and they intentionally feed them this positive affirmation, all of that, to allow them to call their children trans, and then they take the kids and do whatever they want. They had the boy Zion Wade. They had him doing the ad for Tiffany, dressed as a girl at 13 years old. It's all about money. It's all about control, and it's all about trying to groom these kids into whatever people want them to be.
Yeah, I want to hit on the P word at the very end of the LGBTQ, and they cap it off before everybody go to hell. They put the P on there. But, you know, I think that's where it's heading, man. Like, I've been saying this for the last like 4 or 5 years, where I've been saying that it's all leading to the manipulation of young people. Because if you look at any of these fallen societies or any of these goofy societies that are hell-bound, godless nations, they manipulate children. It's what they do. Like, you look at the wealthy amongst us, and I know this could be somewhat conspiratorial, but you look at, you know, Jeffrey Epstein and all the elites, they have this crazy, you know, lusts for kids. And so that's what they want at Pedophile Island. You know, that's what they do with human trafficking and sex trafficking across the country. They're trafficking young people. And I honestly believe it's like a spirit on these people that want to build up the next generation of confused adults so they can sexually manipulate them. And it's weird, but it's for some reason. Like, you go to any one of these cults. You go to the one right here in Colorado City and in Arizona, Warren Jeffs. What did he do? What was his downfall? Messing with little kids on tape and getting caught up. And like, all of these people have this demonic lusts, I guess, for innocence. And that's where this is going. They say, well, I'm born this way. Okay. We let the gays say they born this way. Then the trans say, I'm born this way. You know what's next? The ones that want the little kids, they go, I'm born this way. Mm-hmm. So they have to decriminalize it because it's not in their control. They're just sick. They need help or whatever they say. This is the way they are. And I'm telling you, like the Man Boy Love, that little organization, I think it is. Like, what is it called? Man Boy Love or something like that? You know what I'm talking about, ABL?
NAMLA. Yeah, Man Boy Love Association or something like that. Yeah, you got it right.
It's an association to justify pedophilia. It's like a real organization.
It's real.
Man Boy Love. Yeah. So, I mean, they already rolling stuff out, and it's on its way, y'all. I say it 100 times. It's on its way. This is what they're doing. That's why they're going for the babies.
Yeah. It's scary. They're already creating words to describe it. Minor attracted persons. Like, the first time I saw that, I was like, okay, whoever invented the word needs to be on a watch list or it needs to be in jail already. But the fact that, like, we're not already like pounding the alarm and there's not sirens going everywhere around people's heads. They're saying, like, this is their end goal. This is their intention. They're already making it clear. The left does this all the time. Whenever they want, they're trying to do a little dry run and prepare you for what they're about to do. They just start rephrasing things, right? Illegal alien turned into undocumented immigrants. I saw a tweet this week where you're not allowed to say drug dealers anymore because apparently it's offensive to people who sell fentanyl. So now you got to say drug workers. Next thing you know, it's going to be undocumented pharmacists. And so that's the thing.
What? Whoa. You can't gloss over that one and be like, oh, no.
I will send you the tweet. This is out of Canada, of course. This is a PhD student in Canada. She's studying anthropology at the University of British Columbia. She said that if you use things like drug dealers, it's offensive language because most people who deal drugs are users themselves trying to escape systemic racism. So,
man.
You can't say it, ABL. You can't say it.
White supremacy, baby. Let's go.
It's always the white man's fault. That brings me to my next topic. I saw this article today. I did it. It was, what's her name? The dumbest woman, Susan Rice. Is it Susan Rice? Let me find this. Susan Rice was speaking at Scammy Al Sharpton's conference, and she said, where's my paper here? Hold on a second. She said, Nick, where's my paper at? You seen it? I don't know where my Susan Rice paper is, but anyway, I can paraphrase it. So Susan Rice is speaking at this conference with Scammy Al Sharpton, his little nonprofit, and she says that the American GDP, if we had closed the gap between wages, housing, the economy, and investments in the Black community, meaning close the gap between Black and white, that would have added $16 billion, or maybe $16 trillion to the GDP. And if we do it today, it'll add $5 trillion to America's GDP. And pretty much said that pretty much the racism that has existed in America has held Black people down and it's causing our economy to not grow like it should grow. And she cited Citibank's statistical data point. And Citibank pretty much said the same thing, but it's clearly not based on racism. It's based on the wage gap, and it's based on other things that are disparities and not necessarily discrimination. So I want to talk to you guys, or have you guys give your comments on the victimhood that's being forever perpetuated on Black people in America, and how it's literally a never-ending cycle of destruction and plantation mentality for Black people.
Yeah,
it's a grift, really. It's all about getting money. Like, let's talk about Black Lives Matter and Black Lives Matter affiliated causes. I think they raised $80 billion, $80 billion. So you see in these city council meetings in San Fran talking about reparations. Oh, I need $5 million per person. I need a mule. I need 40 acres. I need all this stuff. But it's like, okay, Black Lives Matter got the money right there. They got it. Have you gotten $1 from Black Lives Matter? Has anybody on this panel gotten a Black Lives Matter check? I've not gotten mine yet. Have y'all gotten yours? I mean,
it bounced. It bounced.
Yeah. Patrice Cullors has got them in the negative right now. That check bouncing.
As I'm saying, it's just weird. It's just weird. It's just way for them to make money. BLM can say that we're victims and we're support. Give me some money. They'll take the money themselves and go buy mansions, go buy whatever they want to go invest in the business. They use the whole victimhood thing to engage in capitalism, which defeats the whole argument itself. The argument is Black folks can't engage in capitalism because of racism. Mm-hmm. You use that very same argument to engage in capitalism and get plenty of money. It's so dumb, but people still buy it up. They eat it up. They may see a poor person on the side of the road. It might be a Black person homeless in LA, and they feel bad, and then they give money to some organization so they won't feel bad anymore. It's all about money. It's a grift.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. There was a story out from the New York Post today about a professor that just got fired down in Florida because he was a criminology professor, and he literally made up studies about how racist America was. Like, he would intentionally made the sample size of all of his research. 6 of his studies got retracted so that he could make it appear as if America was more racist than it is. America is such a racist nation, guys, that you have to literally make up statistics to make it true. But to Susan Rice, that's interesting. And I say the same thing about her that I say about Kamala Harris and all of these people. What do they have in common? For all of their grievances that they have against white people and white men, they didn't have those grievances when they decided to marry one. So I'm confused about that, right? So it's like, the white man's keeping them down. The white man's oppressing them. The white man's oppressing all of us. But that was never something that crossed their mind when they chose to marry him. And so I think they don't even believe what they're saying, just as this professor didn't. He knows that America isn't racist, but what he does know is that he was making $190,000 a year to pretend that it was. And so, as you said, ABL, it is a grift. These people are just trying to protect their salaries because only in America can you make $350,000 a year to be a DEI professional. Whatever the hell that means, I don't know. Obviously, with the wrong line of work, it would have been a great career path, I guess.
I know sometimes I'll be wanting to, sometimes I play the game sometimes, man. I'm like, if I play the game with some of these people, like on my Instagram, I put Black owned business. And
I saw that earlier when I clicked on it.
I was like, let me see what they'll do. Will they boost my reach? You know what I'm saying? If I do Black owned business. And let me tell y'all this, and this is the true story. So, somebody put me up on game. And of course, that if you are actually a Black owned business, you get grants, you get deals, you get all kinds of stuff. And I literally got my business. We're not official yet. They got to go through this process. But I went through the process of getting our company black owned because I'm black and it could be a black owned business. And it's a lot of money that I give to the government that I'm going to get back in my pocket for doing it. But, you know, it's funny because I went through that whole process and we were in the interview. And they interview you. They got to come visit your facility. We had to take them on a tour. Everything. It was crazy. And they asked me some question, man, and I knew exactly what to say to them. I said, because due to the history of what has happened in this country, I think this is incredibly important for us to have visibility and all that. Man, you know, it's like people, it's weird to me, but I can see how these other people can grift off of this in an incredible way. Now, I would never do anything that I thought that wasn't, you know, beneficial to my people here, but I see people doing it, especially like Colin Kaepernick. Like, this dude was raised by white folks. Then he got woke, turned on them. Black power, go take money from Nike owned by a white man. He writing a book. I bet his ghostwriter is white. I bet all of his attorneys are white. I bet his CPA is white. I mean, these people, they literally are the fakest people on planet Earth. But anyway, I'll pass the mic to you guys.
Real quick story. Summer of 2020. I was definitely, you know, one of those people in New York that was out there protesting for that good old Black Lives Matter, the movement, right? You know what I'm saying? Got to go out there. My brothers and sisters, the Bronx, you know, taking the 2 train all the way downtown. And, you know, I was definitely a part of the, you know, because I personally, the way I used to look at life was pretty much, you know, this, the reason why I'm here, the reason why my family's here, you know what I'm saying? Like, the reason why the Bronx is the way it is definitely because of the white man. You know what I'm saying? I'm over here listening to Minister Farrakhan.
Who's Mike?
Mike cut off, boss. I think you're on mute.
Oh, can y'all hear me?
Good now.
There you go.
Oh, I was saying, like, I was listening to Dr. Umar Johnson, Minister Farrakhan, all these different things. Listen, I know. And I was like, yo, the white man got us down, man. So, you know, throughout that movement, I just thought, you know, the whole George Floyd thing, you know, we outside. So when the looting began to happen, because I was live streaming this stuff on like Facebook and stuff, like, yo, I'm gonna go cover this stuff, like a little fake journalist or whatever. And the looting began to happen. I'm like, oh, this took a turn. Oh, y'all wilding right now. And I'm like, I have to cut the camera off. I'm like, oh, I ain't supposed to be recording this. But I remember when that happened, I was just like, yo, that's nothing to do with George Floyd, right? I don't know what y'all got going on over here. Like, you know, you got a bunch of white people grabbing bricks, throwing bricks. You know, there was a cop being surrounded. I'm like, yeah, there's a lot going on over here that got nothing to do with George Floyd. Anyways, fast forward to last year when I saw the documentary on the greatest lie ever sold. I think that's the name of it, with Candace. And I saw the amount of money, when we talking about the money, BLM and stuff like that. That's kind of what made me go around, because I was going into it to give it a reaction, right? I'm like, yo, I'm a youth, got a channel. I'm gonna give this a reaction, but I don't like Candace. You know what I mean? Like, cause you know, I follow the Shade Room, all these people. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna watch this video defending Black Lives Matter. Man, I had to cut the camera off a couple times. Like, I can't defend this. I don't know about this one. They said 80 million went to the LGBT. What? Wait, what? And I'm like, man, that is so crazy. She went back to the area where it happened. The guys, I'm like, yo, oh man, do I like Candace? Like, I started losing my mind. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. But that's kind of what capped it off for me. I was just like, yo, when I saw where the money went, Patrice Colors, the truth in that whole situation, I was just like, wow. You know, they literally did nothing for the hood, bro. Like, they did not go to the hood at all to give back, to build, and you know, all these black-owned businesses that's coming up, they not showing up out here. So I started really looking into it, and that's really what got me on the, like, I was definitely in the echo chamber before, but these people, this whole BLM movement, I can't jack this. This is not for me. I can't. And you know, I lost some friends because of that. Don't get me wrong, because they like, yo, like, you really on some like right-wing stuff. Like, that's not the point, bro. Anybody that's not into politics can see that this is all BS, bro. And people are actually out here race baiting. Like, they actually, so, and my thoughts to that whole situation when it comes to BLM, where the money went and all of that, that was the turning point for me. That's why BLM and Candace situation, that's why it's so big. Because shout out to Candace, she really got me to really change my mind on all of this stuff.
Wow, that's crazy. Because, you know, it's been, I changed my mind like in 2016. And so to see that people are still kind of waking up, because everybody got these house of cards, man. And like, you knock one of them out, everybody's waiting for that card to get knocked out and then the whole thing come crashing down. I really do wish that, and I said this on my radio show earlier, is I wish that as a black community or these black leaders, I wish they would stop pointing the finger at the white man and start doing introspection. Because I look at a statistical talking point from I forget his name now, Colonel Allen West, right? It was fact checked. He made a statement to say that more black people die from black on black violence in 6 months than the entire legacy of lynching in American history, right? So there was 3,200. There was like 3,200 black people lynched in American history on record for 68 years of lynching. 3,200 recorded. Now there could be people that wasn't recorded. Okay, we get it, but at least it was 3,200. There's about 6,000 to 7,000 brothers that die from black on black violence almost every year from homicide, and so 6 month period was actually kind of close to the number. So he was accurate that in 6 months, more black people get killed by other black men than the entire legacy of lynching in this country. And the only fact checker could say is that, because he made the statement to say the KKK lynched in history. And the fact check came out to say it was the lynching numbers were true. The homicide rates were true. It's just that the KKK didn't lynch everybody. So some people were lynched by other people than the KKK. That's the only thing they fixed on the talking point. And so if we would look at introspection and say, come on, man, why are we sell drugs to each other? Why are we killing each other? How come when CJ Pearson, I don't know if you went to a school that was primarily black, but if you would have came to my school, we would have clowned you. We would have said you trying to be like the white man because you articulate, you got, you speak English well. We would have been going after you, man.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. You know what I'm saying? It's not getting nothing to do with a white man. That's us.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. We've got to stop being our biggest enemy. Like at the end of the day, it's like, it's interesting. When I would go out, like at Alabama, we would go out and I'd be at a party or something like that. Someone would walk up to me and they'd be like, "Oh, wait, are you that kid that likes Donald Trump?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I was like, "Do you like jobs? Do you want to own a business one day? Do you want to be wealthy?" And they're like, "Well, damn, that's kind of a good point." I'm like, "Well, that's the thing here. It's like, I think when you actually when black people actually have a real conversation about conservatism, I think a lot of it boils down to the fact that people hate what they don't know, right? And a lot of black people have never even met a conservative, much less understand conservative ideas. And like when I actually sat there, I remember this one distinctly because me and him have become friends. Like he's a Kappa. And he walked to me and he said that. He's like, "You're that kid who likes Donald Trump. Why do you like him?" And I'm like, "All right, do you support jobs? Do you support wealth? But also, don't you think, let's just talk about math here. Do you think it's good for the black community to support one party 93% of the time? Do you think that the other side is even going to try to earn our vote if they know that they can never get it? And don't you think that a party that knows that they have our vote 93% of the time is ever going to actually try to keep it or earn it? Or are they just going to think they have it on lock so they can just do whatever they want?" And he was like, "Oh, wait. That's a good point." I was like, and then another thing I asked him was like, "Do you think it's okay that people can walk into a room of white people and not know how any of them vote? But yet if you walk into a room of black people, you probably do know how all of them vote." I don't like that. That's racist. That's pretty wrong. And I hate that we can be so easily grouped when white people never have to deal with that at all. And so when I broke that down to him, he was like, "Wait, we do need black Republicans. We do need black conservatives. And I do want to be wealthy one day. And I don't want to be taxed into oblivion when I am wealthy." And I think like, that's the thing. It's like, we've got to stop rooting against one another. And I think at the end of the day, when you look at historically throughout our country, and this is why they don't teach real history in schools, you look at the KKK, you look at segregation, you look at Jim Crow, all of these things have in common are the Democrats. And then they say the party switch, all of this stuff. Well, actually, let's look at the amount of Republicans that voted for the Civil Rights Act. It was more Republicans after this so-called party switch that supported the Civil Rights Act than the Democrats. Like, these are historical facts, but they're not taught in schools for a reason. Because if people actually knew the real history of the Democrat Party and the real history of the Republican Party, they would never be able to support Democrats over Republicans. And it's not just about the issue of race. Like, let's talk about women's rights too. Like, Democrats were very much against women's suffrage. Woodrow Wilson was very much anti-right to vote for women, but they don't teach that in schools. Republicans, we've always been anti-women, keep them in the kitchen, all this nonsense, when that isn't even historically accurate. But you don't know that unless you look into it. And unfortunately, we don't have schools actually teaching students how to research anymore. We don't have schools teaching kids how to actually look into things themselves. They're teaching them what to think and not how to think. And it's a shame. And we're reaping the consequences of that every single day.
Love it, love it, love it, man. We hit the hour point. I try to keep it to an hour because I just did a 3-hour radio show and I'm ready to go to sleep. But I appreciate you guys coming on, man. Wonderful CJ, wonderful you, Lou V, and also ABL as always, man. I really love you guys and appreciate what you do, man. Y'all keep fighting a good fight. We need everybody to be in our own area. You know what I'm saying? We can come together, but also in our own areas to just speak the truth, because there's people that's going to listen to you. I mean, you know, listen to you, listen to CJ, listen to ABL that will never watch me. And so we all need to do our part and keep waking people up to hear the truth. So I'm going to do my round like I normally do. When you go tell people where to find your social media and merch or whatever you got merch. I'll start with you, ABL, then we go with Lou, and then we'll go with CJ. So ABL, where can people find you and support you?
All right, the best place to go is right here on YouTube. You can search these 3 letters right here, ABL. I'll be able to pop right on up. Also, go to the website, anthonyblogan.com. That is ANTHONY, the letter B, LOGAN. Go to the front page and write articles for each video that I produce. Go to the contact page. You can find my email address, my snail mail address, my social media accounts, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. All that's right there. Also, go to the merch site, ablmerch.com. We got hats, T-shirts, stickers, hoodies, mugs, and more. That's all I got.
Perfect. Lou, what you got?
I would promote YouTube, but my channel is on 2 strikes. So Rumble, ladies and gentlemen, Rumble is the future. We on Rumble. Lock in at Lou Valentino 777 on Rumble. The live streams are lit right there. We got all type of free censorship. We can talk about anything and everything. Lou Valentino 777. And you could definitely, still support my channel here on YouTube at Lou Valentino. So, and Twitter, Lou Valentino _, Instagram, Lou Valentino, everything. So Rumble, guys. Rumble is the future.
Yeah, love it. CJ, what you got?
Well, thanks so much, Brandon, for having us. Always a good time. You guys can check me out on all platforms. Username is the CJ Pearson. You can also check out all my content on PragerU at prageru.com. Check out my new show, The Wrap Up, available every single week, where we break down the biggest stories of the week. And I'll see you there.
Oh, that's awesome, man. I love that. You got the Prager show, man. That's cool, man. Prager always get the good guys, get them all up, and then you become, a conglomerate, man. That's great, man. I love that, CJ. I remember when CJ was just a little bitty kid. Man. How old was you when you first started making videos and stuff?
Like, I was like 11 years old. I was like 12.
You're like 11, man. He was a little baby. He was a little baby. He making videos out here.
20 years old, bro. Hey, man, 20. You setting an example for all of us, man. That's amazing to see, bro, because you got a lot of 20-year-olds talk about they, them, and he, hers, and stuff. And it's refreshing to hear that somebody, I'm 26, right? So I'm like first year of Gen Z. So I'm an old head now compared to whatever they got going on. So to see a 20-year-old really talking that talk, bro, I appreciate you, man.
Thanks, man.
Young boys, young boys in their 20s. You gotta get the 30 walk, the 30 crew.
Hey, y'all back be hurting when y'all wake up, man. What y'all going on over there?
Hey, man. You'll see, man.
That's why I take Relief Factor. Relief Factor. Go to relieffactor.com. 804 relief.
Hey, I'll be 40. I'll be 40 next year, man. Like this back, it ain't no joke, man. My back, knees, ankles, all the joints is crazy.
Oh man.
Well, you would have less joint pain if you go to mypillow.com and you check it out, guys.
That is hilarious. All right, man. And I didn't even say, if it's your first time watching me, you come over from other people's channels, the Officer Tatum on all my social media platforms. And the biggest thing that we got going right now is the Trump shirt, man. People just eating this stuff up. We manufacture right here, right under me. We do all our shirts, do distribution right here. So you can go to Tatum store, put in Third Day, get 30% off my whole store. Third Day, spell it out. Third Day, 30% off the whole store. The link is in the description section. I appreciate you guys. Y'all hold on for a second. I'm gonna close us out. I'm gonna say goodbye to y'all, and then we'll get up out of here. But God bless everybody. Thank y'all for watching.